All right, hello and welcome everyone to the online seminar with the University of St. George's, Grenada. Thank you, Bethana, for hosting this session. To all of the students who've just joined us, a couple of housekeeping rules. We're going to answer any questions that you've got at the end of the session, so do feel free to interact with us in the chat box and we'll answer them as we go along or at the end of the session with Bethana. So Bethana is going to be running the session today about doing the basics and applying for a medical degree at the University of St. George's. So feel free to kind of keep in mind any questions that you've got and also keep looking through the presentation. We will be sharing a copy of this with you after the session. It is also being live streamed on YouTube, so you will get a copy of that link after the session as well. Bethana, hello and welcome to the session. How are you doing today?
Hello, Ravina. Very well, thank you. Really excited to be here. Thank you for having me, and thank you everyone for joining us.
So Bethana, we're ready to start whenever you are as well.
Lovely, thank you. Okay, so good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you're joining us from today. My name is Bethana Hamad. I am the Associate Director at St. George's University School of Medicine, and I myself am actually based in London, UK, as I look after our student recruitment from Europe. Thank you very much to each and every one of you for taking the time to attend today's session, and a very warm welcome to each and every one of you. Now, we're all here today because you're all thinking about a future career in medicine, and what an exciting time it is to be. And I'm here today to answer any questions you may have about medicine in general, medicine at SGU, or any other questions that may come to mind. As my colleague Ravina said, we will be answering all your questions at the end of today's session. So please feel free to put your questions in the chat box as I go through the presentation, and we will go through them at the end of today's presentation during our Q&A session. So we're all here because we're thinking about medicine. We're all passionate about medicine, which is really exciting. And I'm here to cover some of the top 10 questions that most of you will have already come across when thinking about a future career in medicine. So I'll start a little bit by telling you about us as a university. St. George's University School of Medicine was actually founded 46 years ago now. And over the last 46 years, we've acquired just over 20,000 alumni from our School of Medicine. And today, those 20,000 alumni are licensed and practicing physicians in all 50 states in the United States, in Canada, in the UK, and in over 50 countries around the world. And as I cover some of the questions that I know many of you will already be asking, and many of you might hear of them for the first time today, I will go through our program in particular, some of our competitive advantages, and I will also go through how to apply to SGU and some information about the application process itself. So the image here in front of you is our main campus, and we refer to this campus as our True Blue campus. And our True Blue campus is in Grenada, the Caribbean. And as you can see, it is a state-of-the-art facility. It is a purpose-built campus. It's got 65 buildings on premises, including all of our teaching facilities, our labs, our library, our student accommodation, a number of different outlets and restaurants, our gym, outdoor recreation activities. And in addition to that, we have our own private beach and a shuttle bus that runs from 7 a.m. until 2 a.m. I'm going to start with the questions now, and one of the top questions that we get is, will I get a US residency? And this is a really important question for any of you who are thinking about becoming a doctor in the United States. So in order to become a doctor in the US, you have to meet two criteria. One of those criteria is for you to complete a US residency upon graduation. And a residency program can range from 3 to 8 years, depending depending on your speciality, and you will do that residency at a US hospital in the United States. So the answer to that question was that with SGU is we are actually the largest provider of doctors into first year for US residencies for the last 8 years combined. So in 2022, we had 990 plus US residencies obtained. And as a statistic, that's 89% US residency placement rate for international graduates over the last 3 years. And this is a figure we're extremely proud of because, for example, if you look at the percentage of international graduates who are able to obtain a US residency upon graduation, for example, at US medical schools in the US, you'll see that that percentage for the last few years has consistently been below 60%. And with us, it is 89%. And what that means is there is no other medical school in the world that provides more new doctors into the US healthcare system as St. George's University School of Medicine. In fact, we are the largest source of physicians for the entire US workforce. So out of our 20,000 alumni, 13,231 of those are currently licensed in the United States. So as you can see, whereas all the students who join us because they want to study medicine abroad, the vast majority of students who join us because they also want to practice medicine abroad, and in particular, practice medicine in the US. And this, in fact, is actually one of our biggest competitive advantages. And this really comes down to 2 factors. One of them being the US residency placement rate, which I just told you about, with us being the largest, the #1 provider to first year US residency. And the other one is also got to do with the USMLE, which we will cover shortly. What this statistic means is there is no other medical school in the world, whether that be a US medical school or an international medical school, that has the same number of graduates that we do who are currently licensed in the US. This really comes down to a number of different factors, and one of the most important factors is our Office of Career Guidance and Student Development. So at SGU, you're actually offered a very personalized support and guidance system, and you get that through a number of different offices. But within the Office of Career Guidance and Student Development, we have advisors who will work with you to basically develop your own personalized residency strategy. So they'll be looking at previous SGU alumni who have similar profiles to yourself, similar strengths, similar academic backgrounds, and really focus on their journey in being successful in obtaining a residency. In addition to that, they will help you with the process itself. So the application, the personal statement, building up your CV, the interview skills, and they will ensure within your personalized residency strategy that you are applying to residencies that you highly qualify for and that you are the best match for. Now, the second question that we get is, how can SGU's clinical network help me obtain a residency? Now, for those of you who are unfamiliar with it, but within our program, and I'll talk you more about this in the next few slides, but within our program, the last 2 years of the program are actually conducted within our clinical network. So the last 2 years of the program are clinical rotations. And what that means is you are still learning, but instead of learning on campus through lectures, laboratories, and small group settings, you are actually learning through clinical rotations at our affiliated hospitals and clinical networks. So we have a clinical network of 75 plus hospitals and healthcare systems in 2 countries, those countries being the US and the UK. So within the US, our clinical network is across 12 different states, including California, Florida, New York, New Jersey, Michigan, Ohio, and others. And in the UK, our clinical network is across 8 different locations, and the vast majority of those hospitals and clinical centres are in the south of England, including some of those in the Greater London area. Now, what does this mean? What kind of support do we get within the clinical network and beyond? What it means is, in addition to the regular support that we have within the university, so for example, our Dean of Medicine, our Dean of Clinical Training, our Associate Deans, our department chairs, our placement and clinical coordinators, and our Office of Career Guidance and Student Development, within each of those hospitals, we also have an SGU Director of Medical Education, clerkship directors, clinical faculty, and medical education coordinators. In fact, 1,500 of SGU's faculty members are within our clinical network, and they will be supporting you throughout your clinical rotations. The third question, which is really important for the US pathway to practice, so for those of you who want to become doctors in the US, and that is, does my education at St. George's University prepare me for the USMLE? And the USMLE is the United States Medical Licensing Exam, and this is the second criteria that you need to meet in order to become a licensed doctor in the US. And the answer is yes. So 94% of USMLE Step 1 is the pass rate for our international first-time test takers over the last 3 years, and 92% is our USMLE Step 2 pass rate for international first-time test takers over the last 3 years. And these statistics are outstanding, and they are on par with US medical schools based in the US. Now, let's talk a little bit more about the program itself. So at St. George's University School of Medicine, we offer an MD degree, and an MD degree is a postgraduate course of study, and it is a US-style curriculum. And we offer the MD degree up to a number of different entry levels. So we have our 4-year MD degree, our 5-year MD degree, our 6-year MD degree, and our 7-year MD degree. And we offer them at a number of different entry levels because it depends on your academic background as a student as to what the right placement is for you. So we recruit students globally. We're a very diverse community. We have 150 different nationalities represented between our staff and students. And your academic background will determine your placement entry level. So we'll take a few examples, but we won't spend too much time on those. For example, if you are a student who's already completed an undergraduate degree in biomedical sciences or any related field, then you would be eligible to apply to our 4-year MD degree. If you are a student, for example, who is going to complete 3 full A levels or a full IB diploma, then or a medicine foundation, then you would be eligible to apply to our 5-year MD degree. If, for example, you're a student who's got AS level or equivalent, you would be eligible to apply to our 6-year MD degree. And if you are a student who is doing a national curriculum within your home country, and it's a 12-year of schooling, then you would be eligible to apply to our 7-year MD degree. Now, a real huge competitive advantage for SGU as well is you can see that there are a number of flags, different flags represented below our academic years. And what those flags represent are a possible location. And this is a fantastic competitive advantage of ours because it allows you the opportunity to be subjected to a number of different medical healthcare systems before you've even graduated your MD degree. So when it comes time to applying to a residency, for example, you are actually at an advantage because of your profile and the experience that you will have gained throughout your studies with SGU. And obviously, the advantage is also of having a completely different student experience and an opportunity to expand not only your personal, but also your professional network. So it's important to note that the quality of education is exactly the same regardless of the location, as it is an SGU curriculum taught by SGU faculty, leading to the same SGU outcomes. So we'll take the 5-year as an example. So if we look at the 5-year as an example, you can see below this year, so below the first year of the 5-year program, we've got 3 different flags represented. So as a student, you have the choice between completing that year, either on our main campus in Grenada, the Caribbean, at our partner university here in the UK, which is Northumbria University, or at our partner university in India, which is Ramaya University. The second year, you can see there are 2 flags represented. So you complete this year either on our main campus in Grenada or at our partner university in the UK, which is Northumbria. The third year, as you can see, there's only 1 flag represented, so it will be mandatory to complete this year on our main campus in Grenada. And the last 2 years are clinical rotations. So this is where you're learning through your clinical rotations at our clinical network of hospitals. And those hospitals, as I said, are in the US or in the UK. So for example, for your first year of clinical rotations, you'll do 42 weeks of core rotations. So that's where you'll be subjected to core specialities such as internal medicine, surgery, pediatrics, OB/GYN, and psychiatry. And during the final year, you'll do 38 weeks. And that is where you will cover family medicine, sub-internships, and 26 weeks of electives. And upon graduation, you graduate with an MD degree, which is a medical doctor degree from St. George's University School of Medicine. And from there, our students move on to 3 different paths. And that's either the US pathway, so the route to becoming a licensed physician in the US, the UK pathway, the route to becoming a licensed physician in the UK, or a return pathway, and that's the route to going back to your home country or the country that you reside in to become a licensed physician there. So just a bit of a recap in terms of SGU's program and partner universities and locations. So as we've mentioned, our main campus is in Grenada, the Caribbean. Our partner university in the UK is in the city of Newcastle, which is Northumbria University. And our partner university in India is Ramaya University in the city of Bangalore. In addition to our partner universities, we also have our clinical network. And as we said, our clinical network is in the US or in the UK. So as we said, the advantage here, without a doubt, is you're being offered an opportunity to have a global medical education experience, one without a doubt that will add to your overall profile, as ultimately it is the same SGU curriculum leading to the same SGU outcomes. So you're really getting a cross-cultural medical practice experience with rotations as well being done either in the US or in the UK, as we mentioned. Now, the fourth question that many students ask is, how will I be supported to succeed in my medical education? And this is a really important question because, as we know, medicine is a huge investment. It's a huge investment in time and effort, and it's really important that you are fully supported throughout your studies. So one of the things that we do at SGU is we actually offer a very personalized support and guidance system throughout your studies, and that's in a number of different ways. One of them being our SGU college system, which really personalizes your education. So prior to term 1, you will be assigned to one of our 9 colleges within our School of Medicine, and within each of those colleges, we have our own dean, associate deans, faculty, advisors, and each and every one of them is there to ensure that you achieve your fullest potential. So within each of those colleges, they're their own learning community. So that's where focus is in small group learning, student wellness and support, and personal and professional development. We also have a dedicated support system that is focused just on your success. So there's academic programs in modern facilities to prepare you for exams, not only at SGU, for the USMLE residency and beyond. So it's a really interactive team between instruction, facility learning, long-term retention of content by offering opportunities for reinforcement and integration. In addition to that, obviously, we said we have our fantastic faculty. So all of our faculty are either MDs or PhDs or equivalent themselves. We've got about 2,000 faculty members, 1,500 or 600 of them now are actually clinical faculty, and about 500 of them are campus faculty. In addition to our Office of Career Guidance and Student Development, we also have our Department of Educational Services who are there to support you to succeed. And one of the things that they do is on a weekly basis, they run a number of different seminars, and those seminars really focus on your skill development. So there are a number of different skills that are crucial and critical for you to learn better, such as time management skills, study skills, test-taking skills, note-taking skills, being more efficient with learning techniques, study groups, tutorials, and then there are also Let's Talk teaching workshops for our faculty members themselves. We also have our international office and student support office, and they offer a number of different support services to students, including mentoring opportunities. And that's an opportunity to be mentored by fellow students who have excelled within their first few terms of medical school. In addition to that, we've got major lectures being recorded, and then we've got English language support and academic enhancement support too. And we also obviously have our faculty members who have got a very international experience. That leads me on to my fifth question, which is, where will my SGU medical degree allow me to practice medicine? And this is a really important question. SGU graduates, as I said at the beginning of today's presentation, are actually licensed and practicing physicians in all 50 states in the United States, in Canada, in the UK, and in over 50 countries around the world. In terms of accreditation, SGU is fully accredited to support your medical career path. So our accreditor is actually Grenada Medical and Dental Council, who they themselves are actually accredited by WIFME, which is the World Federation of Medical Education. And that leads me on to my sixth question. What will my life be like at SGU? And this is a really important question, because obviously you are going to be spending a lot of your time studying, and it's important that you have the facilities to support that. All of our facilities, as you can see, are state-of-the-art facilities. They're purpose-built campuses. We've got high-quality accommodation and facilities to support your life and studies. As I mentioned early on, we have within the campus itself all of our teaching facilities. We've got our student accommodation, we've got our library, we've got our gym, outdoor recreation activities, a shuttle bus that runs from 7 a.m. until 2 a.m., a number of different outlets and restaurants, and our own private beach. In addition to that, we have 65 different clubs, student clubs and organizations for you to choose from. Many of those clubs are obviously professional clubs, professional medical clubs, and in addition to that, we have cultural clubs, we have community clubs, we have athletic clubs, we have spiritual clubs. So we have everything that I'm sure will be of interest to you to ensure that you continue to fulfill not only your professional growth, but also your personal development too. We also have a number of different sports offered on campus and a number of different outdoor recreation opportunities to students. So as you can see, we've got students who play football, basketball, we have students running marathons, we've got our gym, we've got yoga classes, we've got art classes. And a fun fact as well is that 80% of our students are scuba certified by the time they graduate from SGU. Seventh question, which we tend to get a lot, is how can I see where I'll be studying medicine? So one thing obviously with COVID is we've got our virtual tours that are available on the website for you to do so. So it's a really, really interactive 360-degree tour that will really allow you to experience the campus itself at your own convenience. So I definitely encourage you to do that. And then that is one of the opportunities that is available to you. And then for any of you, for example, if you are in the UK and you'd be interested in visiting our partner university, there are open days that run at Northumbria as well. Another question that we get, which will lead me on to the application process afterwards, is there financial aid? And this is a really important question because, as we said, medicine is a huge investment in terms of time and effort, and it's also a huge financial investment. There are a number of different scholarship opportunities available to students. However, it's important to note that scholarships are not guaranteed, yet 70% of our international cohort are in some form of scholarship. So we do try and support our students where possible. It isn't a separate application that you go through. You simply have to go through the full application process. And then if you are accepted onto the program, it is at that point that we would require you to complete one document. And that document allows our scholarship committee an opportunity to make a financial need assessment. And then they will make a decision as to whether or not you are awarded a scholarship, and if so, the amount of scholarship that you would be awarded. So this would be more of on an individual basis that we would discuss with each and every one of you as you go through the application process. Now, how do I apply? It's important to note that depending on your entry level and depending on your campus of interest, there may be different intakes that are available to you. Generally, our main intake is our August/September intake. We also have a January intake and an April intake. So if we take, for example, the MD5 as an example, the MD5 is offered in August/January on our main campus and at our partner universities in the UK and in India. In January, it is only offered on our main campus and it is not offered in April. Whereas, for example, if we look at the MD4 for students who are entering at a graduate entry level, so students who have already completed an undergraduate degree, then they will have the choice between August, January, or April. August and January are offered both on our main campus and at our partner university here in the UK, which is Northumbria, and April would only be available on our main campus. So if you're interested in applying, you can go through SI UK, our wonderful partners here in the UK, and they will support you throughout your application process. So they will support you with completing the application itself, with collecting your supporting documents, and they will also guide you through the application process itself. So the way it works is once you have submitted your application and provided them with your supporting documents, you would go under initial review. And what that means is we have a faculty committee who reviews every single application to make a decision as to whether or not you would be granted an interview. And the assessment generally is made on your personal statement, your previous academic results, your predicted academic grades, and then in addition to that, your extracurricular/voluntary/work experience with COVID restrictions taken into account, and finally your letters of recommendation. So if you are successful during the first round, then you would be granted an interview, and the interview would be conducted virtually via Zoom with one SGU alumni, and I would be able to help you with setting up a pre-interview meeting to discuss what to expect during interview, so you are fully prepared for it. Once you sit your virtual interview, you then go into final review for our faculty committee to make a final assessment based on your interviewer's feedback on how you performed during interview. If successful, you will be granted a conditional offer letter. And in most cases, there will be two conditions. There will be the academic condition and there will be an English language condition. Our English language requirement is an IELTS 7 with no element less than 7. And then if you're looking to reserve your seat and accept your place, you pay your deposit. And then from there, SI UK will be able to support you as well with your accommodation arrangements and finalizing all your holds to ensure that you travel and you start your future career in medicine. Now, the last question that I will be covering today before we move on to our Q&A session is, why is SGU the place to start my medical career? This is a really important question because we all know that your decision in terms of where you're going to study medicine, so your medical school decision, is one of the most important decisions you will ever have to make. So why is SGU the right place for you? So the first thing that we need to mention is the fact that you get the benefits of a larger institution, and that's really with the state-of-the-art facilities, the accommodation, the faculty, the student life experience and opportunity. But at the same time, you get the benefits of a much smaller institution as well. So you get about 50% of your learning is through small class experience, and that's with a ratio of 8:1. And then in addition to that as well, in addition to the benefits of a larger institution and a much smaller institution as well, so a very personalized approach to studying medicine. We also have the benefit of our clinical network, so a really strong clinical network of 75 plus hospitals in the US and the UK. We have our outstanding USMLE results, with 94% being the first-time pass rate for our international students on USMLE Step 1. We also have our exceptional residency placement rates, with us being the #1 provider into first-year US residency placements. And then obviously we have our career prospects. So for example, we're actually the largest source of physicians for the entire US workforce. And all of this is only possible because of the hard work that our students put in. But in addition to that, because of the very personalized support and guidance system that is offered at SGU. So here are a few examples of some of SGU graduates and the places where they have practiced. So as you can see, they've practiced at all US News and World Report's top US hospitals. So these are some of the top 20 hospitals. As you can see, 20 hospitals listed, some of the top US hospitals. And this is where our SGU graduates are practicing. So as an SGU alumni, obviously you're joining a very strong alumni network of doctors in a broad range of specialities who have successful careers around the world. So I'll leave you with a testimonial with one of our students who joined us from the UK, and he tells you a little bit about how he managed to go through the SGU curriculum, how his educational experience has been, and how at the same time he really managed to enjoy the beach itself after the lectures. So he talks about how my strong education and international experience at SGU and my time working at Brooklyn Hospital in New York has helped me achieve what I have today. So really focusing on how SGU can really drive your success within your future medical career. So at St. George's University, you will receive the education and support to help get you to your goal, becoming a practicing physician. I'm going to leave you with my details later on, but before I do so, I just want to share a quick 3-minute video with you, and then we will go to the Q&A session. So I'll just go back. That's okay with everyone.
Hello, future doctors from Europe. My name is Dr. Marios Loukas, and I'm the Dean of the School of Medicine at St. George's University. Since its founding in 1976, St. George's University has evolved into a top center of international medical education, drawing students and faculty from over 150 countries, including the United Kingdom, Ireland, Spain, and many more. For more than 40 years, St. George's University has provided the world with over 19,000 highly trained doctors, offering a medical degree program with entry points available for students with various levels of education. We are proud to say that over 365 of these graduates have come from Europe. SGU has a unique global perspective, and is well equipped to help you achieve your fullest potential with a unique opportunity for you to begin your medical career in Grenada, the United Kingdom, or India. With our large network of over 70 affiliated hospitals and health centers in the US and UK, all eligible students will have the possibility to complete their clinical rotations in those two countries. Beyond the breadth of our programs, our award-winning Department of Educational Services implements innovative programs that prepare students for course and licensure examinations, and new purpose-built spaces make for an optimal teaching environment. We are a truly international institution that boasts a long, proud, and verifiable history of academic success, USMLE pass rates, and residency matches, attracting the highest quality students, teachers, and researchers from around the world. We look forward to welcoming you and helping you start your journey to become a doctor.
Lovely. Thank you so much, everyone, for your time today. I really appreciate it. I'll hand it back to Ravina for the Q&A session.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Bethana. That was a really helpful session. And I really enjoyed the thing at the end from the student that talked about, like it was being a really challenging year, but also you got to enjoy some time at the beaches. I think that's what students are looking for as well. And it's great to learn about all of the different places the students can study at: India, US, UK as well. So yeah, and Grenada, so that's fantastic. We have had a lot of questions come in. A lot of them are technical questions. So I've banked them and I said that you would be able to help answer them. But whilst we're waiting, Bethana, I was wondering if it'd be okay for you to put in your email address in the chat box, because a lot of students would probably have inquiries for you or for the international office as well. And whilst we're waiting for Bethana to do that, we've actually got a poll for all of the students who are here today. We'd really like to understand and learn whether you'd be interested in starting your studies in January 2023 or in September 2023. So if you can help us quickly answer this question, it should be live on your screen now. Getting a lot of responses, so I'll wrap up the poll in 10 seconds. All right, I'm just going to share the results for everyone to see as well. So most of the candidates we've got here today are interested in January 2023, which is fantastic, which means you'll have to get moving with your application. So yeah, please contact Bethana in the email address she's put in the chat box, or contact SIUK. I'll be putting both of those email addresses at the end of this session as well. Great. So on to the questions. We've got people from all sorts of places today, all sorts of questions as well. So the very first one we've got coming in is from a student in Kenya. So they're asking if there's any possibility to do the course online and then do the practical elements on campus. So is there a combination of the two?
I'm afraid the answer to that is no. So whereas obviously during COVID, we had to run our programs online, now that COVID restrictions have been lifted, we're back to full-time in person for our MD degrees.
Great. So the next question we've got is, does the Institute only offer medical degrees, or are there some other departments like biomedical sciences as well?
So we're here to talk about our School of Medicine in particular, as that is where we recruit our international students onto. So the focus is on MD as a medical doctor degree.
That follows on nicely to the next one, actually a question from Sarah Boyle, who said, is the seminar apt for an undergraduate student who wants to become a doctor, and how do they go about applying for that?
Yes, thank you for that, Sarah. So Sarah, if you've done an undergraduate degree in biomedical sciences or any related field within sciences, then you are eligible to apply to our 4-year MD degree. So I've put my contact details in there. Within my contact details, you'll see my email address, you'll see my mobile number, but you'll also see a Calendly link, and that's a really important one. What I would encourage you to do is to schedule in a meeting with me this week or next week so we can talk about your individual case. But you can definitely consider applying to our 4-year MD. And then once we have our one-to-one meeting, I can get a better understanding of your academic background and better be able to advise you on that.
Perfect. Thanks, Rudhena. We've got Wajiha from Pakistan. Thank you so much for joining us today. She said, I'm a student from Pakistan, and how would I apply for this opportunity, and if there are any specific requirements for anyone from Pakistan?
Yeah, so the same would apply with Jiha. So you're eligible to apply depending on what you've studied in Pakistan. So if you've gone through a high school curriculum, you're still at school, then you're eligible to apply to our 6-year MD degree. If you've done an undergraduate degree in biomedical sciences or any related field, then you're eligible to apply to our 4-year MD degree. You apply to us through SRUK. You can reach out to me with the details that I've included so we can schedule in a one-to-one meeting to talk about that. And as I've mentioned, you're also going to have the English language requirement, which is an IELTS 7 with no element less than 7.
Brilliant. Thanks, Rudhena. Yeah, that was very detailed. I think that answers actually a lot of the follow-up questions as well we've got from students. There's one in particular, they said that they're looking for a USMLE preparation course. I'm not entirely sure what that is.
Yeah, so we don't do the USMLE prep as a course. However, I'm sure you heard me say within our program itself. So one of the things that we do is we prepare students very well for the USMLE. And one of the most reasons for that actually is our exams are formatted in a very similar way to the USMLE. So when it comes time for the students to sit the USMLE, not only have they had the practice, but to them, it's as if they're sitting another SGU exam. And this is why we have really outstanding results when it comes to the USMLE. So as an SGU student, if you're studying our MD degree, then you would definitely be fully prepared for the USMLE throughout your studies with us. But if you mean that you just want a separate course, a separate prep course for the USMLE, then it's not something that we can help you with at SGU.
Great, thanks, Rudhena. And I just want to remind students that we're here for another 10 minutes, 15 minutes or so. So yeah, please do continue to pop your questions in the chat box and we'll keep answering them one by one. So we've got a follow-up question from the same student who said, my sister has graduated with a pharmacy degree and wants to proceed with MD. Is that a possibility?
It is a possibility. So she can definitely apply. So one of the things that I think is really important to note for students who have already got an undergrad degree, it would obviously vary from one student to the next, depending on what degree they have at undergraduate level. But obviously within sciences, they're still eligible to apply. And it will really come down to what modules they've covered. And one thing to take into account is we offer the MD4 as a direct entry, but we also offer some additional programs that are put into place to really bridge any knowledge gap that students may have due to the previous degree that they may have completed. So as an example, one of the alternatives that students may be offered is they may be offered a program which we refer to as our Charter Foundation program, which is an additional term that really focuses on bridging that knowledge gap for students to ensure that the student is ready to start an MD4 program. So she can definitely contact me and we can go through her transcripts and talk more in detail about her specific case.
Yeah, I think, yeah, that's a great suggestion as well. When you're writing these emails to us, try and provide us with as much information as you can as well, so we can advise you properly on the courses that you want to do. There's two questions about actually English language requirements. So one question is from Sarah again saying, what are the English language requirements and what kind of tests are accepted by the university?
Okay, so with the English language, it's important to note that the English language is a requirement for any student who is not from an English speaking country, or any student, for example, who has not completed an undergrad degree in an English speaking country in English. So for example, you may actually be exempt from an English language requirement if, let's say you're a citizen of the UK or Canada or Australia or Ireland or the US as examples, or you've done your undergrad degree, for example, in one of those countries. Now, most of our students as an English language test will sit the IELTS, and the requirement for the IELTS is an IELTS 7 with no element less than 7. However, if you do visit our website, there is a full list of what other English language tests we do accept. So you can see, for example, we've got the TOEFL. So for example, it's 100 for the internet-based TOEFL. And then there's the PTE as well is accepted, and the overall requirement is also listed on the website. So you know, I definitely encourage you as well to visit our website to look at some of the entry requirements. It will be very clear to you in terms of which program you're eligible to apply to, depending on what academic program you've completed. But I will note that the English language requirement is the same regardless of placement. So whether you're a student who will be joining our 4-year MD degree or a student who will be joining our 7-year MD degree, our English requirement remains an IELTS 7 with no element less than 7. Now, there are some courses in some cases, depending obviously on the entry level and the intake, that may be available to you. So some of the things, for example, we might offer EMP, which is English for medicine purposes, for additional English language support for students who slightly fall below our entry requirement. We've got pre-sessional, for example, at our partner university in the UK for students who might fall slightly below our entry requirement. So again, this can be very much discussed depending on your specific cases. However, as I said, I think the focus with all of you who are asking about the application process, I think step 1 is reach out to me, whether you want to reach out to me via email or if you want to directly just basically click on the Calendly link. And then just schedule in a meeting with me so we can talk about your individual case. Once we've done that, I can better advise you as to what would be the next step for you, which program you'd be eligible to apply to, and what specific documents that we would require from your end. And I would put you in touch with an SI UK consultant as well, so that they can help you throughout the application process itself. And then, as I mentioned, once we have all the documents ready and you've submitted your application with the support of SI UK, we'll then be able to proceed with processing your application for initial review. And then if you're successful in your granted interview, I will set up a meeting with you to discuss what to expect during interview. And then from there, you go into final review. And then if you're successful, you get your conditional offer with definitely an academic condition if you're still a student, and perhaps an English language condition if you are not eligible for an exemption based on some of the criteria that I've just mentioned.
Brilliant. Thanks, Bethana. That was really useful. When you mentioned earlier that, you know, the student is a case-by-case basis and they might be allowed if they're slightly below the entry requirements, so would you say like a 6.5 would be a case that you would consider?
Yeah, so basically, let's say, for example, if they've got a 7 and they've got a 6.5 in writing, so what they might get is they actually might get EMP. So they're still accepted onto the program, but they get additional English language support during their studies with us.
Okay. And we've got a question from Geoffrey, actually combines the two. It's a question about English language requirements. So he's got a slightly lower IELTS score, but he was wondering if that would hinder him from getting a potential scholarship at the university.
So what's important to note, Jeffrey, I would say, is not the scholarship, but rather the acceptance. So I don't know what your score is, but obviously if you slightly fall below the entry requirement, then as I said, you may be offered additional language support. However, if you're well off, even if you are accepted, you would still have a condition of IELTS 7 with no element less than 7. So you'd still need to meet that condition to be able to enroll onto the program. As I said, with scholarships, actually, the level of English won't impact it because the vast majority of our scholarships are awarded based on financial need basis. And the reason for that is students who are applying to us are academically strong. They have strong English language capabilities. And as a result of that, the factor the scholarship committee mainly takes into account is financial need. And they'll make an assessment based on that as to whether or not a student is awarded a scholarship. And if they are awarded a scholarship, the amount of scholarship they would be awarded. But it's important to note that the English language is a requirement to be able to enroll onto the program. So without you meeting our English language requirement, you would not be accepted onto the program.
Great, thanks, Bethana. And then we've got a follow-up question actually from Geoffrey saying, is there a possibility to do a foundation year?
So again, I'd need to know a bit more about your background, because obviously it would depend. So let's say, for example, if you're a student who has done A levels, for example, but perhaps let's say, you know, you didn't meet the requirements for us, but you fell slightly below, for example, in chemistry or biology, then you may, obviously at the end of the day, the decision is made by our faculty commitment, by our faculty committee, and our faculty committee make it on an individual based assessment. And it's a number of factors that are taken into account, not only your academics. So it depends on where your placement would be, but you would not be able to, for example, get an additional year, let's say, because your IELTS falls slightly below, because as I said, you know, whether you're joining the 4-year MD or you're joining the 7-year MD, the IELTS requirement remains a 7 with no element less than 7. So it's not that if my IELTS, for example, was a 5.5, can I do 6 years instead of 5? Then the answer would be, I'm afraid not.
All right, thanks, Bethana. I think you've already answered this question, but just in case you have anything else to add. So the student Kiza has a diploma for nursing from Uganda, and she's just wondering what entry requirements are there for the course.
Again, it would depend on obviously what you've done prior to your diploma and what modules you've covered within the diploma. So I wouldn't be able to answer right now without looking at your qualification. So again, I would encourage you to set up a meeting with me, so we can go through your transcripts, and I would be better be able to advise you on what placement you are eligible to apply to and what the requirements would be specifically for you.
Perfect. Yeah, because I do drop Bethana an email, or SIU can email, and we'll be able to answer your question in more detail. So you've got a question from Parastu saying he has a master's degree in genetics and a publication in cancer and 2 years of work experience in a lab. Do you offer funding for a PhD program?
The simple answer is no. And the reason for that is, as I said, we are right now talking about our School of Medicine. So we're talking about the MD degree in particular. And we're talking about the MD in particular, as I said, for our international students. So I'm afraid the answer would be that we wouldn't be able to assist you with that. But if you are interested in becoming a doctor, then obviously feel free to set up a meeting with me and we can talk about you possibly enrolling onto our MD degree.
Perfect. Thanks, Bethana. We've got a question from someone who wants to become a potential doctor. So Samila has said, thanks for organizing these sessions with St. George's. They're really useful. You're welcome. We need to thank Bethana for her time as well. She's an Afghan national and wants to get enrolled into the university. So she's just thinking how she can kickstart her process and what are the entry points, the times of the year that she can start her studies in the UK.
Yeah, so again, it would depend on your academic background. So thank you all for your interest in SGU. It depends on your academic background. So for example, if you've completed your high school in Afghanistan, then you would be looking at the 7-year entry level. And for the 7-year program, as you recall from the slide that I was showing, the first year is actually mandatory in Grenada. Otherwise, if you have an undergraduate degree, then we'd need to know what you completed your undergrad degree in. And then we'd be looking at you applying for the 4-year MD degree, depending on what you've specialized in, depending on the modules that you've covered. And then obviously we've got the English language requirement as well.
Perfect. I think that's actually all of the questions we've got in the chat box. So I don't know, Bethana, if you've got any final thoughts that you want to leave our students with today.
I mean, fantastic questions from everyone. Thank you very much again, Ravina, for organizing this. I really appreciate it. It's always lovely to be in the same forum as future doctors. I just want to say thank you again to everyone for taking the time to attend today. And thank you for all the questions that you've asked. And I'm sorry if I haven't been able to answer any of your questions in detail. But as you know, obviously, we would need to know specifics about your academic background to better advise you on placement. So as I said, I do encourage you all to set up a follow-up meeting with me if you are interested in pursuing an application. So feel free to reach out to me to discuss your individual cases. During that meeting, we can basically go through your academic background transcripts to basically confirm placement. And then from there, obviously, we will have a meeting as well with an SI UK consultant, so we can really talk about what are the next steps for your application and what documents you would need to provide. But nothing from me except keep up all the hard work and you know, continue to showcase your passion towards medicine. And thank you all for your time.
Brilliant. Thank you once again, Bethana. I'm just going
Ravina, you're on mute.
Oh, sorry. Thanks again, Bethana. Thank you everyone else for joining us as well. I'm just going to add a link to the YouTube session that we had as well. So if any of you want to rewatch the presentation, review any of the entry requirements, you're welcome to do so. Thank you once again for your time. And yeah, the session was great, Bethana. So
Thank
yeah,
you.
have a lovely rest of the day, everyone.